Good evening. Welcome to another edition of Cultivating the Culture. This is Tariq Ibn Jamil, and I have Tariq Ibn Tariq, and we also have a guest on our show, Troy Emery. He's a CPA, and we have another guest, CPA, that's online. But as we always start off our show with our leader, Malik Shabazz, Malcolm X, and here is his message to you.
Nowadays, to learn how to do is see for yourself and listen for yourself and think for yourself, and then you can come to an intelligent decision for yourself. But if you form the habit of going by what you hear others say about someone, or going by what others think about someone, instead of going and searching that thing out for yourself and seeing for yourself, you will be walking west when you think you're going east. You'll be walking east when you think you're going west. So this generation, especially of our people, have a burden upon themselves more so than at any other time in history. The most important thing we can learn how to do today is think for ourselves. It's good to keep wide open ears and listen to what everybody else has to say. But when you come to make a decision, you have to weigh all of what you've heard of its own and place it where it belongs, and then come to a decision for yourself, and you'll never regret it. But if you form the habit of taking what someone else says about a thing without checking it out for yourself, you'll find that other people will have you hating your own friends and loving their enemies.
Good evening. Welcome again to another edition. As we always start off with our brother Malik Shabazz, Malcolm X, telling you that you have to be able to learn to think for yourself. And it's important for us to be able to think for ourselves, and that's what we try to do with Cultivating the Culture. We're trying to strengthen our culture to be a better culture, more positive, and learning, the importance for us to think for ourselves. So last time on our show, we had my son, Tariq Ibn Tariq, or Tariq, the son of Tariq. And then also today that we have Troy Emery, and we have some other guests that are going to be calling in later on. We were supposed to have them online, and we had a couple of technical difficulties. So right now, but we have a great individual. Last week, I was talking about generational wealth. And of course, as I started with generational wealth, being that this is a show, like you see, a nation of faith, Ummat al-Iman, also Jamaat al-Sijin, we are really strong. We focus on belief. And so the most important thing as far as the generational wealth, to me, is passing on belief in the Creator to the next generation. And once you've given them that wealth, then the other things come in play. And as I stated before, I'm a businessman. I do construction management, environmental and hazardous waste. I've had several types of businesses. And so now my son is getting into the industry, and I'm passing on the wealth that I have. And the wealth that I have is not the finance. The wealth I have is the experience, the knowledge, and the mistakes that I've made through the business and what I've learned from it and the relationships that I have. So on this show, I was planning to be able to have different accountants or certified public accountants, and these are my friends. So and then this is the thing that what we need to do as a people is to pass on our relationships to our children so they cannot make the same mistakes that we made, and they also can benefit from the things that we have. So Tariq, so basically, can you tell us about yourself and your business?
Yes, I'm a CPA in Prince George's County, Maryland. We service mainly the Washington, D.C. area. We have clients, several clients throughout the country, but primarily our clients are in the Washington, D.C. area. We've been in business now for about 13 years. I think we're going on 14 years now that I think about it. We do. We have small businesses to mid-sized businesses, individuals. We've been blessed to do professional athletes. We've been blessed to do people who have multi-million-dollar businesses. We have people who are just starting business. The thing I like about what we do is we touch a lot of people, regardless of where they are, and we try to. Our motto is we make our clients excel. So if you are a small business, we try to take you to the next level or the level above that. Or if you're a larger business, we try to take you even further to where you are right now. So we enjoy what we do. We have a large list of clients here in the Prince George's County, Washington, D.C. area. And hopefully I can give you some tips and some of the things we've learned over the years.
Okay. Well, hopefully, with the show, what I wanted to do, okay, I guess the camera's over there. With the show, what I wanted to do was talk about some of the experiences that I've had with the business. Basically, I've started many businesses. When I was in college, I went to school engineering, and I started a business, Lang Electronic Dynamics, LED, and then also started a music company. This was back in the 80s when rap was just getting nice to write for everybody, and so I started Newton Records, and I got into it, and then I got out of that industry. But being that my father, like I said, my mother and father, they were out in New Jersey, New York area, and they were part of the nation. And one of the things is also there were many Garveyites, and Malcolm was a Garveyite. And so the Do for Self was always a part of us. You know, they raised us on Do for Self. We had a lot of people in New York, a lot of people in New Jersey. I was used to people, working for themselves. So they raised us with the intent that you go get a job, or you graduate from school, you work for somebody for a while, but you have to work for yourself. So that's why I've always been business minded. And when I grew up, I would see my uncles and my father's friends, and they're doing business. So I've always been that type of person and stuff. Always hustling and trying to make things happen. But I started in the construction industry. I started my own business, and we were doing government contractor when I was working for another company, and we had to end up getting when I first started my business, I got a contract with DC Public School, or actually Army Corps of Engineers, who actually did DC Public Schools for asbestos abatement, and it was like a hub zone contract. We were doing it was 1.5 million or 1.499 and a year. And then I also got the GSA schedule. My business grew very quickly, but I was in a hustle mode. Meaning, I got the contracts, I can get to work, I can do the sales, I can get the sales, I can get the business. But my issue was I had not straightened up my personal credit, prior. I started straightening up, but personal credit, you need to do it at least 7 years before. You can't have a lot of issues. I had something like an R9 for $100 that stopped me from being able to get financing for some of my other projects, because they're like, okay, well, even though you've had $1 million come through our bank, you had an R9 for $100 from some years ago, we're going to hold that against you. And it's ridiculous. It's like, I remember my father's friend, as I told people, he had worked for PNC Bank. He was vice president in New York, and had my business, had my contracts, and sit down with him, and I know he's going to, that's my end. But when he sat down and I told him some of my issues, and he said, let me explain something to you. He said that, and excuse the expression that he used, but he said a white boy basically can come into a bank with a dream on a napkin and get as much money as he wants. He said, but you have to have audited statement, you have to have all these other things, and you have to have assets that they're going to want to take. They're not going to give that chance with you. They're not going to take that chance. And so I was like, wow, really kind of disappointment. So the things is I made them, because I was in hustle mode, because I had to do it, there was a lot of things that I didn't do right. Like I was trying to tell you before, was I remember my first audited my first financial statement. I had to get one, so I came to the accountant, and I had, basically all my receipts in the shoebox and stuff, that type of thing. Not literally in the shoebox, because I had that much, but I didn't have it right, and I said, okay, make it happen. And so, this is what you may find with a lot of black businesses and all that, and this is what I was trying to make sure for the next generation. So, can you talk about that, or as far as what type of mistakes, or what can we do?
A couple things. I think, there are certain stereotypes that we should basically try to get away from. It's not necessarily that black businesses come in with things in the shoebox. It's just a person who is not, I guess, doesn't have the proper understanding of accounting. They come in with shoeboxes because, I've seen clients that are not black come in with that shoebox type accounting as well. So there are certain things in business that we definitely are going to have to reverse the stereotypes, right? Business is an area where blacks a lot of times get very, very negatively stereotyped. They think that a black business can't actually produce like a white business can produce. They think a black business may not deliver on time, may deliver over budget, but these are stereotypes that are not true, right?
Not in my case.
Now, with our businesses, you'll find that the businesses that I've seen, the black businesses that I see, and for the most part, they're very profitable, good record keeping, great tax planning. But I think that, we take our negative experiences and we kind of say that this is the way black businesses are ran, and that's not necessarily the case. I have plenty of government contractors in this area that are doing extremely well.
And one of the things is, even for myself, is not that the ran, because mine wasn't run like starting out. Because
Right.
I started out with no investment.
Right.
I started out with no loans. And I was trying to, as a Muslim, we try to stay away from the loans and everything, so I'm trying to adhere to that,
Right.
and just take the money and flip it, and that's it, and, hoping that people will invest. But, I never got these great, brothers with, to make these investments, even though I had Army Corps of Engineer contract, GSA schedule, and I presented to them, and it's like, oh, brother, I'm sorry, I can't help you. So, no, and that was at the beginning. And then I got everything in order. We got, a nice chart of accounts. We after that, I got an audited statement, and then we had a DCIAA audit. And we passed that in order to be able to get that government contract with the Army Corps of Engineers. So, yes, our system was nice after,
Right.
but it was just the beginning part.
I tell any business owner that, when you're first starting in business, this is going to sound strange coming from a CPA. Don't get over consumed in making sure that you can account for every dime. It sounds a little strange coming from a CPA. Be concerned with raising enough money. Be concerned with banging the pavement enough where you can actually become profitable. You cash flow very, very well. Because I've seen the reverse side. I've seen people who put nice systems together, they put nice accounting systems together, but they have no business. So, again, like I said, it's going to sound strange coming from a CPA, but the bottom line is, if you don't have the money, then there is no money to account for. There is no money to go do the things that you want to do. So, like I was saying earlier, I think in our community, and I would say in most minority communities, the art of sales is a lost art. We have to begin to learn the root of selling. If you look at a person like, let me give you an example, like Warren Buffett.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Warren Buffett, he started off as a little boy selling newspapers. You'll find that way back in the day, this is how young boys in particular, I'm just saying young boys because girls weren't necessarily in the fold of business at that time. I'm talking about, some of your older multi-billionaires. They started off selling something.
Right.
Right? Whether it's
Yeah, I had a
lemonade,
newspaper route.
whether it's newspapers,
I had a newspaper
whether
route.
it's something. And that put that edge, that got that edge from a very young age, that I have to sell. I have to learn how to sell. I have to get used to telling me no, that's all right. No, not today, but I have to keep on moving, and keep on moving. Find ways to actually sell when a person says no.
I worked for I worked for an investment firm's company called First Investors, and one of the things is they had us doing cold calling, And
That's hard.
yeah, and but you learn to, you call up somebody and they, no, I'm not interested and stuff. And they're like, oh, well, I'll think about it. I have to sleep on it. I said, if I call you in the morning, then you'll have an answer, And they were like, after a while, like, leave me alone. But I kept having to call them, and they hang up, and then I pick up, and I dial it, and I call another person. So you keep on, and then eventually somebody would say, hey, I'm interested. But what happens is, if you do 10 calls and you say, I'm done. Right. But it might have been the 11th call. It might have been the 99th call. But the reality is eventually you get somebody, and you have to keep, going. I would teach my kids all the time when they'll go somewhere, and I would say, they're like, oh, well, the place is closed. I said, well, it's 7:59. It says it closes at 8. Knock on the door or try to open. Well, the door's closed. No. Open the door. Let them tell you no. Don't say no for yourself.
Correct.
Let them say no. And even if they say no, you still might be able to convince them. Go for it. Right?
but I know you had me to come on the show to talk more about accounting stuff, but the bottom line is you have to learn business principles, right? And you said something that was key about when you were a telemarketer. Is that what?
I work at an investment firm, but we had to do cold calling to be able to get people to invest.
See, when you get people to tell you no, 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 and you develop that will, that gut, that grind to just keep on going, that's going to help you later on when you do your business, because every day you wake up, there's going to be a problem. Every day you wake up, there's going to be no money in the bank account. Every day you want to wake up and say, how do I buy this? How do I pay this person? How do I pay the staff? How do I make my payroll? Getting that edge to say, hey, look, I don't care what happens, I'm going to succeed. It comes from what you were doing. It comes from that constant negativity and overcoming that negativity. Now, this is something a little strange that's coming from a CPA, but I'm just trying to get you to see that our motto is we make our clients excel. We don't look at the pitfalls that are before our clients. We try to help them to overcome those pitfalls, whether it's selling, whether it's tax planning, whether it's getting out of some tax debt, whether it's how do I finance something, what do I look like when I go to the bank, what do I have to do in order to become bankable.
Right.
There's one thing I do want to add. When we talk about going to the bank and getting a loan, if you are filling out the application for the bank and you're trying to see whether you're going to get that loan, you're already behind the game. Let me tell you why I'm saying this. What we do is we tell our clients that, look, if you are 2 years, 3 years, whatever it is, out from when you want to get that loan, start your relationship with the banker right now. Right? Yeah, you're going to get rejected right now. Fine, that's fine. Get rejected. But what you're trying to do is you're trying to get in a relationship with that bank guy, that bank lady that you're talking to, and your next question after you are rejected is, what's it going to take for me to get this loan? What do my financials need to look like? What do my assets need to look like? What does my cash reserve look like? What do my liabilities need to look like? I want you to coach me through this process so in 2 or 3 years, when I really need the money, then I can come right back to you and I'm going to be spot on it at that point, right? But again, if you are filling out that application hoping that you're going to get the loan, in most cases you're not going to get the loan, because I'm being honest with you, banks, traditional banks, I think I'm looking at the wrong camera here, traditional banks, they lend when you have money. They lend when you're doing well, but they don't lend when you're doing bad.
Yeah, what is red? The red is actually.
I'm sorry, guys. There's 2 cameras in here.
Because one is green and one is red, and green usually is good, but
if
actually,
you see us looking in the wrong direction,
red is the one that
we're trying to figure out which camera is the
No,
right
red
one.
is it. If it's all
Bear
red,
with us for a little while. We're kind of walking our way through this like we're in a business.
That's one of the things is with the show. This is something real. We keeping it real, and to be able to develop culture. A lot of times, everything is just staged. These type of shows that they have and stuff. No, ours is real people, real situations. To be able to really develop our culture. So we're going.
Great.
He was on that.
So I have a question. So for the people who have no problem of generating cash flow,
Okay.
but
That's a good problem to have.
exactly, but they have the problem of never understanding or having the correct financial foundation to being able to maintain or sustain a savings or keeping money. What advice do you have for them to not stay in the same cycle of I can make the money, that the money is gone. I can make the money, money's gone.
Oh, that's an easy question to answer. First of all, you said that the person has no problems cash flow. Bingo. That's a great position to be in.
Yes.
But if you tell me that same person have difficulty maintaining cash in the cash accounts, there's only one solution to that. Stop spending.
That's it. So
that's the point. You know, you positively cash flow, right? But you have low balances. That means that you're spending too much money, right? On something, or you're overspending on something, or you maybe your salary, or what, I don't know what it is, but and chances are you're going to find that person is overspending, and this is a problem. Now, you talk about one of the big problems that I see about our community. When I say our community, I'm talking about black people. We tend to overspend.
okay. Yes.
We overspend and we borrow other people's money. Like, for example, I might have a client that has a lot of money. They owe a lot of money to the IRS. They got nice shoes on, nice clothing on, and whatever. And they talk about how broke they are. Right? They make a lot of money, but they talk about how broke they are.
Yes.
If you follow that person out to that parking lot, I guarantee they're driving a brand new car. Now, they might owe the IRS 10, 20, 100,000, 200,000, 300,000. I've seen it all.
Yes.
I've seen it all. But we spend too much. When we can master the art of being fruitful, right? Thrifty, that is. If we can master the art of being thrifty, you will find that we will be in a better position. Now, there is something called the debt to asset ratio. I believe it was in 2017 or 18. The debt to asset ratio when it came to black families was 28. That means for every dollar of debt, we had $28 of debt to every $1 of asset.
Okay.
Wow.
Right? That's a huge number. Whites, it was 10%. Hispanics, it was 24%. So if you find that a person is always in debt when it comes to taxes or just normal debts, mortgages, student loans, credit cards, right? You find that their spending patterns are basically, in most cases, I don't want to speak in every case, but in most cases, their spending patterns are out of whack. And a lot of that has to do with the psychology of money, right?
Yes.
We have to impress someone, so we buy,
Yes.
Right.
right? It could be an ex-spouse, it could be a sister, it could be a brother, it could be my own family member. I had a client to come in to tell me that, look, my daughter owns a house and I don't even own a house. I need to get me a house.
Right.
But that's not a good motivation to buy,
Right.
right? But a lot of times it's the psychology
Yes.
that gets us trapped up. We see, our favorite basketball player or football player, and we look up to those people, and we see how they live, and we want to live like that without that kind of money.
Right.
It's detrimental to us. We have to fix the psychology part of things.
So what would you say? Because that conversation has been had, and you would think we understand that is a psychological problem. What would you say to them to say this is what you would have to put in front of yourself to stop yourself from spending? Or what advice would you give for them to tell themselves, or just to help people limit themselves from doing a habit that they've developed and they're doing it secondhand nature at this point?
That's a great question. But I know this is not talking about accounting, but I ponder about this over and over and over. For the most part, we have to be happy living with who we are and accepting who we are. And I'm unique. Just me I'm unique, right?
Yes.
And I have to live and be happy with who I am, what God has made me to be.
Alhamdulillah.
That way I don't have to look at somebody else and say, oh, I have to go buy that car.
Right.
I have to go buy that shirt, that tie, whatever, because that person has that.
Right.
Because it's driving me in debt.
And that's, yeah.
It's hurting my sure you're talking about generational wealth. It's hurting the ability for my children to go to school. Yeah, I might feel good having a nice jacket on, which I think is a nice jacket,
It is a nice
right?
jacket.
But what does it do for my children's education?
Right.
Nothing. Right? What is it going to do if my mom gets sick, my dad gets sick, my uncle gets sick, my cousin gets sick, and I can't help them? No, it's going to make me feel real bad in the end.
Right.
When I can't help.
And this is the thing, like I said, going back to the culture, is we are competing for the wrong things.
Absolutely.
Let's compete in education with our children. You know,
Yeah.
let's compete with buying, like instead of buying that $400 bag, you know, somebody buys a bag for $400, they can buy some type of computer or some type of, even send their kid to a class to be able to get some extra tutoring, to be able to,
Certification,
yes,
anything.
something. You know, it's like a lot of times when we think of culture-wise, we look at the Asians, and what do you think of? Education, intelligence. When here we are, geniuses, you know, ingenuity, people coming up with ideas. You think about all of the great ideas that came at the beginning of the 20th century, you know, came from us. But why? Because we can be able to think of things and stuff. You know, we're intelligent people. And so now with the technology, we can be able to spend our money and put it towards that. But what are we doing? Putting it towards, you know, other things or
Entertainment.
Yeah, entertainment.
Well, a lot of these things are systematic as well.
Mhm.
And we're not going to be able to solve these things with our beautiful show that you have here.
And by the way, real quick, it's
you-
not just accounting. We're talking finance,
Yes.
talking about the
All these
future,
whole
trying to
conversations
build
is
whatever we can do
relevant.
to be able to
Yes.
prepare the generation. Because even here, I have my son, but he's just representing the next generation.
Right.
It's our responsibility for us to be able to prepare the next generation. We can't expect things to happen. We can't expect people that we want to say that is our enemy or our opposer, whatever, to be able to set things aright. No, they're actually going to set things wrong. I have a real quick off. I put together a short segment from the movie Birth of a Nation, and Birth of a Nation that came out in 1915.
Oh, that
right?
one.
Yes, that the original Birth of a Nation.
Yes.
And I remember in high school, I was told about it. I had to go down into what is it by Grand Central Station. There was a library that was there, the New York Public Library, and I had to watch it on microfilm. That's how, you know, it was back then and stuff. And I watched it, and it was like 3 hours, and I couldn't believe it, you know. And but this was meteor, and these people started Hollywood. This is 1915, and the way that they portrayed us in this movie, you know, and they portrayed the history of what went on after slavery during the Reconstruction period when we had, you know, black governors, you know, a black governor, Pinchback and stuff in 1872. We had senators, we had blacks in all kind of positions. If you look at the movie, the way that they played us up there, you know, with our feet up on the table, eating chicken like clown. So here it is. And the sad thing is this, when the movie was made in 1915, you had these people still alive that was there from the, you know, 1860s, 1870s, and they're watching this film and it's being displayed as real. That this is the like real history. And actually, Wilson said this is the best account of, you know, what was going on, and it rationalized the rise of the Ku Klux Klan. So you're talking about 105 years ago. They're putting imagery of us in a false way as, you know, losers and ignorant and, you know, this type of, and here we are 100 years later. Now we're volunteer people. Before, that was the only jobs that we can get. Now we can get jobs, but we're volunteer to be clowns and buffoons, you know, and this type of thing. So we have to be able to change that type of narrative that they're giving for us, and we have to be able to write our own. So, and that's what we're trying to do. So, you know, I mean, like you say with the show is actually pulling back from commercialized broadcasting, commercialized television. We're not looking for commercials. You know, you're not going to cut my sponsors and then the show is going to be over. No, we sponsor ourselves. You know, we you know, we have to, but most of the other times, hey, I have to say what my sponsor says. Oh, you're going to cut my show because, you know, we're not doing a commercial for you. No, this is about developing, changing that culture, and, you know, we have to be involved. So, go on. I mean, I didn't mean to interrupt you,
Yeah.
but.
No, I agree. I agree with what you're saying, and we won't be able to solve all the problems. But the bottom, the thing I want to really communicate is our spending patterns and why we spend. And like I said before, being comfortable with who we are, right? Because there are a lot of temptations to actually go spend this, go spend that, do this and do that. That will actually create debts for ourselves. You'd be surprised. It's just the whole psychology piece. If I'm in a car and someone cuts me off and I'm yelling at that person, or we get into a verbal dispute, that has economic repercussions as well. Especially if I step outside of that car, both of us go to jail, and we are going to jail if something were to happen. But you're going to be out of work. You're going to hurt your family. So we have to think about our actions and think about the repercussions. And there's always an economic repercussion on top of everything that we do. If you see, for example, I mean, you'd be surprised if you're a guy, you see a nice lady, and you think she's nice, but she's not the right one for you, and you're just trying to, trying to woo her over, but you're going to spend and spend and spend to woo her over. Once you get her, you see another one, you trying to woo and woo and woo and woo her over, right? But look at the economics involved in it. Right? You're spending money catching this one. You're spending money catching that one. You're spending money catching another. You're married. You start to raise up in the ranks in corporate America. You start to look good, start to smell good, whatever. Your wife is has been with you from the very beginning. You start to rise up a little bit, and now you want to go play the field. It has an economic repercussion. And these are the things that I see all the time. It's our decision making that's really causing us to fail economically.
Right. Yeah, that was one of the things when coming from Boston. So grew up in New York, and then I went to college in Boston, and I lived up there for a while. And Boston's very racist, especially back in the 80s and stuff. Got called the N-word many times, and certain sections that we couldn't go to South East and stuff. We couldn't go to South Boston. And hear horror stories. And so, but job-wise, I mean, for me, it's like after a while you get used to these type of things, dealing with it and fighting back. But it was worse as far as economics, for jobs-wise. So for us, I learned there, I'm competing with them. I have to be 2 and 3 times better than you. So that was my attitude. Mm-hmm. So when so for me, I'm not like trying to be the best black. No, I'm trying to be the best out there.
Right.
Now, so when I came down to D.C., I was real focused. I'm gonna come in, whatever I'm learning, I'm gonna spend the extra, time in. Just like I ran track, you got to put in, you got to work, run in the morning, or you got to put that extra work in. Same way I do my sports or anything like that. That's how I would do whatever my job is. So I was studying. And so when I came down, I saw that everybody was black. It was like, wow, the mayor and the people in the city. I was amazed, because even in New York, I've never I had one black teacher. Most of my teachers was European Jews or Irish people or other people, but not, African Americans and stuff. And so then also in Harlem, the percentage of the houses, we wouldn't own them. They weren't owned because everybody's like, oh, they took it away. No, we didn't own it. So to come down to D.C. and to see that the blacks owned the house, to see that, you had 2-parent households and stuff, you had people with all kinds of skills. It was like, wow, it was beautiful. But I looked at the discipline. Because these type of things, people buying cars and, your car was part of your wardrobe, this type of thing and stuff, and, everybody competing with each other, somebody would meet somebody and, my sisters would talk to me and they would tell me that, oh yeah, I met this guy and he's a GS7 and all that. And I'm like, that's your conversation. That's what it's about. But there was no focus. And these are, like you said, economic, because they're showing off what I do, what I have. This car, and all of these things, you're putting all of these money for things for what? To get a woman?
Well, if you can afford the car, let me just say this let me just talk in a balanced way. If you can afford the nice car, if you can afford the nice clothes, go at it. If it doesn't hurt you at all to actually spend those things, I like nice things as well. Go for it, But if it's going to hurt you financially today,
and then
tomorrow,
my thing that I was trying to emphasize was not get, of course, get nice cars, respect. I'm saying your intent. Like, because you talked about people doing things for others, and I would always tell them, don't do something. I mean, if a woman wants to be with him or be with me, because of what he has and stuff, that's not a person that wants him. And you don't want somebody like that. You don't want to be doing things, I'm going to press this girl, she doesn't like me. Okay, I'm going to buy this, I'm going to get all these extra things, and then she'll like me. No, she doesn't like you, she like what you got. And then if you can't get that anymore, then she don't want to be with you. And this is, like you said, we have too much of that going on. People just impressing people. People meet somebody and they spend the money instead of taking that money and building this nation. Instead of keeping the situation. We lost a lot in D.C. because of that attitude. And that's all. And that's what I was just saying. Is that attitude, when I came down, I was like, wow, they have all the things that we didn't have up in Boston. Because, we were trying to they got they would have like Black Night at the clubs or something like that. The trains doesn't go through the black neighborhood; it goes around it, even though it's the biggest section. I mean, it was just crazy how it was. And then to come down here to see the people in a better position economically, job-wise, and all that, but because of that focus, because it was a culture of oh, I have this, I'm doing this, my house, and then you're bragging about these other things as opposed to focusing on your success and stuff and building. So. I mean, what do you say as far as concerning that and stuff? People doing things for show and tell.
Well, I mean, saying in relation to what we talked about last week, it's even worse now. We have we have platforms where I don't even have to show you. I don't have to show you. I can show somebody in China. I can show somebody in India, and at the same time, that person in India, I'm trying to impress them. And so, it's much worse now, and people will spend their days and people will spend their mental stability trying to impress and trying to make sure that they look good for a picture, and and have nothing else after. So.
Yeah, that's the thing too. Like back in the day, you be going to the club or you're going somewhere and it takes a while. Hey, you got a line one, but you're going to the club and you're going somewhere and it would happen once in a while. But like you say, they're constantly taking pictures. Instagram. Hold on, we have somebody on the line. Hello?
Hi, I wanted to make a comment with the...
and what is your name?
Hello?
Yes, hi. What is your name? Where are you calling from?
My name is Monique, and I'm calling from Washington, D.C.
Okay.
But I noticed the accountant, I didn't get his name, but he was saying that a woman was talking about she wanted to get a house because her daughter got a house. And then you had mentioned about, like, with Asians and how, they do business. And the thing is, I think that's the difference with us as African Americans that we've gotten away from is that generational wealth, is continuing it. Like with Asians and Hispanics, you'll see maybe the mother who didn't have the house would have moved in with the daughter that's buying the house.
Right. Right. That's true. To be able to aid and assist and, instead of compete. And that's, what we have, generations competing with each other instead of assisting, aiding, and assisting.
Yeah, and I think we could, but it's like you said, you can't figure it out all in one, but it's systemic racism, like, getting with the social welfare. The man had to be out of the house. That affected them not only mentally and emotionally, but economically as well.
Oh.
The breakdown of the family. So it's family structures and family businesses that keep, economics, and we have to change the mentality of how we get into debt as well.
Well, thank you. I appreciate it. And one of the things that we were talking about was, when we go back to most of us coming from the South, and in the South, they had, a lot of children. And the oldest one would take the responsibility to raise the other ones and stuff. So it was different. And the father worked with the son worker. So you had this type of generational, there was no gap like it is right now. And so it's amazing how many people find it strange that my son and I are working together. I'm working with him. I'm trying to build because they're so used to fathers not being there. First, just not being there and supporting. I supported my son, my daughter. They both ran track, and I went to the track meets and spent that time with them. But I also supported the academics, and then and spent that time and trained them and got them to that point. Now, as business time, okay, it's my responsibility to go to the next step. And that's how it is. That's relationship. But the thing is my son responded. My daughter responded. And that's the important thing because, a lot of times, you got kids that they're not responding. And the type of situation. So I appreciate it. Go on. Who wants to say one more thing?
What was her name again?
Monique.
Also, Monique. What I find is a lot of times.
Okay, we have somebody else online. Hold on.
Go ahead.
Go on. Okay. Hello? Yeah, hello? 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 Caller. Okay, sorry. We lost it.
Well,
Sorry.
let me go back to Monique's point. Monique, what I find that a lot of times we can't get along with one another. And I don't. We have to be able to break that somehow. We have to. If we have a mother or aunt or whatever that we could live with or can help out, we need to just go on and just do that. We need to get over our suspicion of one another, our petty moments with one another where we disagree and therefore I can't live with this person, I can't team with this person. And you mentioned something about the mother living with the daughter. There's so many relationships that are broken in our community where we say, well, I can't live with this person. Well, yes, you could. Yes, you could. If you could forgive the person, you forgive everybody else, forgive her. Forgive that person, right? But I don't know what it's going to take before we get to that level. But we have to because it has an economic impact with us being separated.
And, it leads into something that I've seen a lot specifically up here. You see it in every state you go to, but there's chains of hip-hop chickens or fried chicken places, and they're owned by one group of people. And you have a whole street.
Calling into the show. Okay, hold please.
Hello?
And so, I've stopped to ask them majority of the time they're foreigners. But they cannot be related in any manner, but all of them have come and all of them have bought into the idea of, okay, this is the field that we're going to go into, or this is the business and this is the plan that we're going with. And so I've tried to ask them what was the conversation that was had, or what was the plan that was bought into to where everyone from this country can come here and get into that field, can own this specific gas station or this specific fried chicken place from DC to Maryland. It doesn't even have to be the same chain. It could be just fried chicken alone. And they've all bought into it. And so, like you said, where it's just a sense of putting aside the personal vendetta you have with somebody and just saying there's something we have to buy into that's bigger than us and that's more important than how I feel about this right now.
Yeah.
So
we have to support one another.
Mm-hmm.
The reason why the Asians can come into our community and benefit, which this is America, they have a right to do that, is because there's
Absolutely.
a void.
Yes.
We're not doing it.
Yes.
And if we did open up the store, the chicken place as you called it,
Mm-hmm.
we have to see that, okay, this is a black-owned restaurant, and we have to support this black-owned restaurant.
Yes.
But we have no reason to blame other people for coming in our community. We blame ourselves because
Right.
we could fill that void. And there's not, and we can come up with as many excuses that we want to come up with, capital, whatever. But the bottom line is, we need to do it.
Yes.
Forget what happened yesterday. Forget what happened 10 years ago. We're just going to have to do it.
And mainly forget what has stopped us before.
Absolutely.
Because people will bring up what has stopped us, and the whole goal of that attempt to stop you was to crush your hope into trying again. And a lot of times it's worked. A lot of times people are like, no, you see what happened before.
Well, you can't stop me unless I stop myself.
And see, and the thing is,
You can't stop me unless you stop me.
Absolutely.
But like you said, going back to that motivation, what happens is you got a lot of cheerleaders. That's what I call them. You know, they're actually, oh man, you can't do that. No, you know, and they're oh man, no, and they're constantly telling you no, you can't. And like I would tell my kids, nah, you can't. And my mother, one of the things that she made us believe that we can do anything. And so, you know, even if I failed at it, that's what I've tried so many different things, and I may not have been the best. Well, he said that what he's going to do is going to show. I may not be the best at it, but I'm competitive and stuff, and that's what you have to believe. So, I mean, the thing is that we're going to finish what you were saying. Sorry, that was it. So.
Call on line 1.
Okay. We're trying to work this call situation.
We're going to get it. We're going to get it.
Okay. Hello?
I wanted to make a comment.
Okay. And your name?
This is Abdul Rauf.
Okay. How you doing? Assalamu alaikum.
Excellent. Yeah, I was calling. I see we got the brother on. Troy, I appreciate him coming on. I wanted to make a comment. As the brother mentioned, was about changing the psychology. And so I believe that we have to change the psychology at a younger age, right? So there are certain things that we learn in basic grammar school, and there are certain things we don't use. So the brother, he's a CPA, so he understands that there are certain financial equations that everyone will have to actually need in the future that are not really taught in middle school, right, or grade school, and that is assets equals liabilities plus owner's equity, or saying in the inverse, assets minus liabilities equals owner's equity.
Can you say it again, but slow it down? You said assets equal, what you said?
Assets equals liabilities plus owner's equity.
Okay.
Right? And then, because we learn how to add, we learn how to subtract. But this is a business equation, and we all want to touch some type of monetary dollars at some point. And so we have to really start teaching our kids this equation, because as the brother mentioned earlier, that the debt-to-asset ratio, all of these things are part of the accounting equation, and thus we need to teach them to our kids at an earlier age. That way they'll truly understand what's an asset, what's a liability, what's owner's equity. And that's how you change the psychology of a kid just actually running out and spending their money, which is an expense. So if you understand what's going to truly bring about an economical future benefit, which is an asset, right? So if you're spending the money, it's okay to spend money, but if you're spending it on something that's going to bring about future benefit to you, then that's okay. So it's one of those things where you have to understand the financial equation, because once you come out of the middle school and you enter the real world, they're not just talking about pluses and minuses, right? They're talking about assets, liabilities, owner's equity. These are going to be the things that everybody needs to know to run a business or to run a successful household. Right? And so this is how you start building future wealth, by getting the key understanding of the things that it costs to build future wealth. Yeah. Right? So I just wanted to make that comment.
But no, stay on. So something like that, I mean, a lot of times we put out these suggestions, just like with the show. We put it out, and the people that's watching the show are usually people that are conscious. And they'll transfer it to their children or transfer to somebody else. But how do we get that out to the common person? I mean, do we get a poster, a billboard, and put that term up? Do we? Yeah, that would be nice. I mean,
that would help. What's the brother's name?
Abdul Rauf.
Abdul Rauf.
Brother Abdul Rauf. You just reminded me of something, and I could have brought them, but I just didn't think about them when I came here. You said something that was key. You have to reach these young people when they're young, and I'm not giving him a plug, but Dr. Boyce Watkins, he has these flashcards in which I purchased for my daughter, and these flashcards go over certain business concepts. They're beautiful flashcards, but they're not. They're like, I think they're like $25 or something. But I would go over these flashcards with my children, and it had, as a matter of fact, that equation was one of the one of the answers to the questions on the flashcards. But it goes into things and, what is stock, what are loans, what are assets, what are liabilities, and it just gives you your child a broad understanding of business terms. But you mentioned something that just reminded me of those flashcards. But you can go out to Dr. Boyce Watkins' website and find these flashcards. I would recommend them to anybody, white, black, or whatever. And I'm not giving Dr. Boyce a plug. It's just I don't work for him or anything. But I saw them on his website and I purchased them.
Yeah.
I agree. And my second point is understanding that equation and agreeing with everything the brother just said is once you understand the equation, then you get a true sense of what it means to have financial reputation. Right? So we all are into reputation socially, right? So everybody understands they have to have the proper social reputation because your reputation precedes you, right? So before you even meet someone, they're trying to find out who this person is, even before they're doing business. So financial reputation is none other than your credit score, right? Because when you walk somewhere and you try to get something, whether it's a loan to help your business or buy a house, you have to present them with something that actually speaks to your financial reputation, right? So these are the things that we have to, the same way that we want to create a good social reputation, we need to create good financial reputation. And then it goes back to teaching the kid about assets, liabilities. It's a building block. The same way that they learn how to count first before they actually learn addition, subtraction, then multiplication. There's a bunch of building blocks. And then after financial reputation, what I would suggest to someone, you then start understanding your risk tolerance, right? What can you actually tolerate? So as the brother mentioned, he mentioned that you can have nice things, right? But you have to know your threshold. You have to know your tolerance. You have to have a certain balance, right? You have to understand your budgeting and stuff like that. So I just wanted to make those three comments. And by the way, also, I am a CPA as well. So.
Right, we know. How you doing, brother? But, yeah, that's beautiful, like you said, financial reputation. And that's important. A lot of times we're worried about our reputation on, I'm known for this, I'm known for that. But it's important to be known for having good credit, be known for paying your bills, be known for honoring your word. And, this is what we have to get out there. Like I said, even though it sounds like a joke about the billboard, but, I've learned that with our people, you have to make things very, very basic to get it out there. It's just something simple and stuff. And one of the things I talked about when I was in college, we had started a program. We just went out, just me and my friends, and it was called African Street School. Mm-hmm. And we would go to the black community, Roxbury. Our school was in other community. We go to Roxbury and stuff, and we would have books, and like I said, Malcolm X book, and other books. Malcolm X speaks to young people. But in the book, we would say that this book belongs to the African Street School. So when you're done with it, pass it on. And it says your oppressor will never educate you. Therefore, you have to educate yourself. And so these things that we're talking about, these things as far as financial success, we have to actually just start going out. People, need to individually start taking the responsibility. Go around your block. Deal with the people on your block. Deal with the people in your neighborhood. What we try to do with this show is encourage local leadership. We're trying to remove the people looking for this Messiah or a national, savior to be able to help us all. And, somebody that you never see in your life, you may see once in a while. We need to return to looking at the person on your block, in your neighborhood, and then the person on your block doing some activities, going out there, working with the people, and making that change. And when we start getting back to that, then the change will happen. This thing of one person to take care of 50 million people is not real. We have to be able to encourage the people to take that time out. These type of things where you talk about okay, if you know that the kid on your block can't afford it, then get those blocks or get those cards and stuff. And what the brother has said, it's important for people to understand about the credit. Or what's that credit software is? Credit Karma? Yeah, Credit Karma. It's something simple as that. Online and tell the people about it. They got Roblox. No, okay, get the kid Credit Karma and let them be able to understand and stuff, and understanding credit, because a lot of people really don't know, and they wait until they, before back in the day, you'd have to send away to get your report and all that. Now you can go right online, and you can see a score, and you can see them updating every 2 weeks. So these type of things should be encouraged, and this type of message is going to have to be passed on from the individuals. We have to start taking responsibility ourselves. The change is not going to happen unless we start making the change. And one of the great things right now is they're forcing people to teach their children from home. And so parents are having to be involved with their children's education.
Right.
And so now, don't let it, when we go back to school, you go back to the same way it was and you're not involved with the education.
Yeah.
The education is not just the classes.
Can I say something
Yeah,
about
go
the
ahead.
credit,
Yes, sir.
the credit issue? Now, there are a lot of people who have bad credit or not good credit, put it that way, but they want to start their own business.
Yes.
Right? But what I would tell anybody in that situation, if you got bad credit, terrible credit, underground credit, whatever it is, to go forward with your idea anyway. Because credit does not build business. I'm sorry. Courage builds business. Listen to what I'm saying. Courage builds business. If you got bad credit, you can get over that. If you have the willpower, you have the persistence, the consistency, you can overcome whatever obstacle there is. Don't let bad credit stop you from doing whatever you want to do. Some people, they'll bring up all kinds of negative things. They'll say, look, you need capital to do this. You need capital to do that. No, you don't.
Yeah, I'm living.
You need courage.
Exactly.
That young gentleman in China, Jack Ma, he started off with, I think, 50 of his students, 20 to 50 of his students, with like some ridiculous amount of money, like $50,000 between, I think, 20 of his students or something like that. And he became a multi-billionaire just with their ideas and their persistencies and their willpower to succeed. So don't let these things stop you from doing whatever it is. If you will put that in your mind, then you will stop you. Nothing can stop you if you are determined to do whatever it is to get the job done.
That's the truth. And actually, proof of that, all of my businesses that I've started, I didn't have any credit, but basically the drive to be able to make it happen. And one of the things is customer service. It's important. For business-wise, I see so many businesses fail because of customer service. They don't have good service. And like you said, that you have to be able to sell your product, sell your service, and make the people, and the way that you sell your service is performance. And it's important for you to perform. And when you do that, you'll get business. And then you just keep on, and you put the money back into it. You don't spend the money. One of the things, my terms have always, even from a kid, that I make money to make money to make money, and then I spend money. So you have to turn it over 3 times before you can spend the money. You put the money back into the business. And a lot of times people are fooled when they get these loans. You get a loan for $100,000 and you think that you have $100,000. And so what happens is you spend as though you have that money. While if you earn the money and you hustle and you work and you put it back into the business, you don't make mistakes. And you know the mistakes will cost you and you're not going to be able to grow. But if you're just giving money and you take that loan and you're using it, I can buy this, I can do this. No, it's not. You're already starting in the negative, and you're going further and further into the negative. So,
I like the way really old people, like your grandmother, great grandmother, they didn't like credit. Mm-hmm. I know my grandmother didn't like credit. She didn't like credit cards. She didn't like no kind of credit. She got by on whatever she could make.
Right.
But you know what? We never had problems.
And that's what we have to return to. That's what we have to return to, because that system is a destructive system. That's why, with our faith and stuff, is one of the things that's frowned upon and stuff. Mm-hmm. But, the thing is, you do need aid, just like you talked about the Asian brother that had 50 people, even though they had a small amount, 20 people. Yeah. And so what happens is when you have numbers of people that believe in what you believe in and you work together, you can achieve things. Even as he talked about earlier, the people coming with the gas stations and other things, these are people that believe in it and they're willing to support you. And a lot of times we don't have the support. The people are either against you or negative or don't believe in it, or they can't see like you can see. And one of the things is a lot of times when you're trying to explain somebody your idea, you're trying to explain somebody your idea, and then they're like, I don't see what you're talking about. But it's like they got to believe in you even though I can't see. But if you see it that much and you have that, I believe in you. I'll back you up.
That's right.
So
That's right.
I appreciate it. This is the end of another show. I appreciate you coming on the show. Now,
for having me.
tell us about your show. You have a
Oh,
show.
yeah. I have a show on Fridays at 2 o'clock. Same studio.
Same place, so, what is it? Yes. So you can, same studio at 2 o'clock.
2 o'clock.
And what's the name of your show?
It's called Let's Talk Money 2020, but 2021 is coming up, so I got to come up with a different name. But it's all about selling, man. It's all about selling.
Yeah. All right. So make sure, please, watch his show. I mean, it's a great brother and great information, and he's assisted us and assisted my son, and so we'll continue with this, generational building. Hopefully, we can build this next generation. We started at the beginning of the year with last year. We said that we're going to make, they had Generation X. Well, the people from the 2020, we said Generation Success. And so that's it. So by 2040, they're going to be a great generation doing major things, and we're going to start up, we're going to build. So 20 years, we look forward. One of the things of us is we're always looking short term. Everybody else builds 100 years ahead, and that's what we have to start doing. We have to make 50-year plans, 100-year plans, and not looking like the world is over. Let's get off of that. That's what I always putting us into the world's about to end, so it doesn't matter. No. Let's look at 100 years from now. 100 years from now, 5 generations.
Been in it for a long time.
Exactly.
Yeah, it's been in it for a while.
All right. Well, thank you very much. Peace be with you. And let's cultivate this culture. And I'll see you at the next show on Sunday, 8 o'clock.
Thank you.